So with meditation, this is a guided meditation, so there will be periods of where I'll be speaking and offering some encouragements or suggestions. And I want to emphasize that these are just suggestions. It's not that that we have to do it that way. There's so many different ways of meditating and different approaches. Meditation might be one word, but it's not like describing something like water. Water is just water. It's either cold or warm or hot, and clean or maybe less clean. But other than that, water is just water. But meditation it's a very broad term. Word in the Pali scripture language, bhavana, is often translated as cultivation. So cultivation of the mind and the heart. Cultivating skillful qualities, skillful responses to all the myriad things that come our way in any given day. How do we respond? And of course there's external response, how we deal with situations, but we suffer inwardly, so it's how do we meet with the different moments of the day without suffering internally. And by giving all of ourselves the opportunity to come together tonight to practice meditation, we're giving the mind and the heart an opportunity to settle, hopefully even just a little bit, to slow down, to settle so that we can see more clearly, see the things that are working internally, working wholesomely, see the things that are maybe binding us to irritation, stress, unsatisfactory mind and heart states. And when we can see if we're doing that, to see the cause. What are we hanging on to? What are we grasping at? What are we craving? Relatively simple equations, but not easy to necessarily see when we're doing this, especially with the more subtle. So as we practice this evening, I'd like to encourage all of us to not feel that we need to annihilate thinking. It's not about scouring our intellect of thoughts, but of, here again, allowing potentially this settling that I mentioned, but seeing clearly. And for those of us who are familiar with the word vipassana, which is very commonly used for a style of meditation, vipassana literally means to see clearly or to see into. That's why it's called insight meditation. And the calming meditations, the more tranquilizing, settling meditations are there to allow us the opportunity to see clearly into our experience. So checking our posture. Try to maintain an upright yet relaxed posture, whether we're in a chair or on the floor, on a bench, a cushion. Try not to be letting the head fall to either side, but that it's straight forward, straight upright. and the chin is neither tilted down nor up, but level. And this means that we're using less muscular strength to maintain this posture, because if we put things out of kilter, then muscles need to work unnecessarily to maintain that particular posture. So just check in your mind's eye. Try to feel the body also. And also try to imagine your ear canal, the center of your shoulder socket, and the center of your hip socket, all in one line. So if you had a plumb line next to your body, that line would be hanging straight. It will be vertical, and the ear and the shoulder and the hip would all line up with that vertical line. So we're neither leaning forward nor backwards. And do the same thing front to back. If there was a plumb line in front of us, that it would go straight through the center of our face and the rest of our body. So we're neither leaning side to side, and so we're upright yet relaxed. Alert yet relaxed. Let's check different parts of our body to see if we're grabbing or gripping or contracting. So check the face. Check our face just to make sure all the muscles are completely relaxed, not gripping the eyes or the cheeks or forehead or mouth. Totally relaxed. And move down, sweep through the body slowly, and just check. Am I holding unnecessarily? If so, just release. Having a relaxed body assists us all to have a relaxed inner world. It informs us, and having a relaxed inner world helps inform the physical world. They are closely associated, obviously. One informs the other. It's a bit of a feedback loop as well. one thing that does help us often in relaxing is by just placing our attention, gently focusing on the breathing process, without changing the breathing in any way, without speeding it up or slowing it down or making it deeper or shallower, but just noticing, just paying attention to whatever the breath is doing, whether it's moving in or moving out, and whether it is shallow or deep, slow or quick, just noticing, noting. So we'll do that for the next few minutes. If and when the mind wanders away from the breath, just as soon as we realize, we just return our attention to the breathing. So as we chanted a few minutes ago, this teaching takes us through different ways of focusing on experience, and beginning with the body, breathing in, experiencing the body. So breath meditation is exactly that. Breath is experienced in the body. Simple. When we focus on the breath like this, we might begin to realize, maybe something we've known for a long time, that the breath, unless we intentionally hold it, the breath is always moving. It might be very subtle, but we notice the in-breath, and when it gets to where the body feels it has enough, it turns around, starts going out. When it gets to the point where the body feels enough of the air is expelled, it comes in. Sometimes there might be the perception of a pause. This is quite natural. You're just coming and going. Inhalation, exhalation. And unless we're feeling unwell in some way in terms of respiratory condition, or we've done a lot of exercise, we've created sort of air hunger, heavy breathing, trying to get our breathing back to normal. Apart from those times, we don't really notice. During the day and night, we don't notice the breathing process. We just let it flow. We just let it come and go. One thing I find quite useful is to contemplate that and ask the question, well, can I let other sense experiences come and go throughout the day and night? Just let them flow. the things that I like and appreciate, and also the things that maybe I find repellent or irritating. Can I, either way, can I let them come into consciousness, come into perceptions, my perception, and then let them flow. And if there's something that needs to be done with those experiences, then to respond, calmly, skillfully, appropriately, and yet not be entangled, not become entangled, or not to feel too much stress around that. Not to feel that anything's gone wrong just because something is unwanted. So as we're sitting, we'll go into another several minutes of silence. As we're sitting, if other perceptions enter the mind apart from the breath, which is very natural, if they do, just make a mental note. Just notice them and let them flow. And return the focus to the breath. No matter what it is, whether it's an emotion, or a thought. Think it, feel it, let it flow, but return gently to the breath. could say that we're the observer of the breath, the witness, the observer or witness of thoughts, of feelings, emotions, pleasant, painful, neutral. There's the awareness of these things, and then the thing itself. There's the breath and the awareness of the breath. Now, they're two different things. And how do we know that? What helps me is to notice that when I'm aware of the breath, and when I'm aware that there's no breath, or when I'm aware of a thought, or aware of no thought, the common experience or the common factor is awareness. Awareness is functioning when things are present and when things are not present. But don't believe this necessarily. Just let's look for ourselves. There's the awareness of my voice, and the awareness when my voice is not present. So we're stepping back from being entangled in these things or overly embroiled in them, but we're taking a step back and we're being the witness. this way we're cultivating the heart and mind that can be completely spacious, open, receptive. To our experience of being a human being. Minute by minute, hour by hour, day, week, month, year. Attending skillfully to what needs to be attended to. Cultivating wholesome qualities. Wholesome habits which will lead us further and further towards this unshakable peace that the Buddha was pointing to. Using meditation as a tool to see what we're actually doing internally. To clearly see what to leave behind, what to let go, what to cultivate. But keep it simple, not to unnecessarily complicate things. Clear, open. But meditating is not enough, really. It's one aspect of this cultivation. As I've touched on, cultivate wholesome qualities, wholesome actions, refrain from unskillful things through body, through speech, through thinking. Because even if we're acting skillfully with our body and speaking skillfully, if our internal world is, our thinking in particular is unskillful, this is our dwelling place, this is our inner world, this is uncomfortable. So to cultivate good habits, good mental habits, to refrain from and turn away from unuseful, unskillful, unwholesome thinking, acting, speaking. To cultivate generosity. Not just material generosity, but the generosity of offering our attention to people, paying attention to the people around us, by offering the gift of fearlessness, by acting in ways that are trustworthy, peaceful. It's up to us, how much energy we want to put into this. But I encourage all of us to consider these things. Before we part company this evening, chant another reflection. Let's see. And we'll chant the highest blessings. That's on page 46 in that same dark brown volume. And this is a very, very important teaching that the Buddha offered, and offering suggestions for ways of living, which range from very practical things to the most lofty, the realization of this liberated heart and mind. So, now let us chant the verses on the highest blessings. Thus have I heard that the Blessed One was staying at Savatthi, residing at the Jeta's Grove, in Anathapindika's park. Then in the dark of the night a radiant Deva illuminated all Jeta's Grove. She bowed down low before the Blessed One. Then standing to one side she said, Devas are concerned for happiness and ever long for peace. The same is true for humankind. What then are the highest blessings? Avoiding those of foolish ways, associating with the wise, and honoring those worthy of honor. These are the highest blessings. Living in places of suitable kinds, with the fruits of past good deeds, and guarded by the rightful way. These are the highest blessings, accomplished in learning and craftsman skills, with discipline highly trained, and speech that is true and pleasant to hear. These are the highest blessings, providing for mother and father's support, and cherishing family, and ways of work that harm no being. These are the highest blessings, generosity and a righteous life, offering help to relatives and kin, and acting in ways that leave no blame. These are the highest blessings, steadfast in restraint and shunning evil ways, avoiding intoxicants that dull the mind, and heedfulness in all things that arise. These are the highest blessings, respectfulness and being of humble ways, contentment and gratitude, and hearing the Dhamma frequently taught. These are the highest blessings, patience and willingness to accept one's faults, seeing venerated seekers of the truth, and sharing often the words of Dhamma. These are the highest blessings, ardent, committed to the holy life, seeing for oneself the noble truths and the realization of Nibbana. These are the highest blessings, although in contact with the world, unshaken the mind remains, beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. These are the highest blessings. They who live by following this path know victory wherever they go, and every place for them is safe. These are the highest blessings. So we'll do closing homage in Pali and English language. That's on page 16 in the same book. Arahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed one, Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him, Dhammang Namasami, I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, Sanghang Namami, I bow to the Sangha.